Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new community call of Kleros. Today is November 22nd, and this week, lots of the things are still connected to what was happening at DevConnect. So we had a bunch of the team members that went there for attending the conference, and I was not there, but I understand this was a quite big conference. Alex was there, so maybe I will let you, Alex, maybe give your update about what happened in Istanbul and what was cool and what the Kleros team was up to there.
Yes, definitely. Thanks, Federico. So I was at DevConnect at Istanbul. We had a couple of team members there. So Guangmian, our integration lead, has given 3 talks basically at 3 different events. So you can find the information on our Twitter basically. We had also JB that participate, our dev lead that participated in a round table. We were in a lot of those events. So we cover a lot of events. Personally, as my focus is more on DAOs and governance, I spent 2 days basically at the global governance gathering organized by the DAOists, and it allows basically to make a lot of contacts, a lot of leads that we are following on in order to push for Kleros integration. So overall, it was a great event. We can feel a strong energy among the participants. The co-working space was pretty nice, and it was really focused on building. So no chill token, no grifter, but more builder, building stuff for the future and for decentralization. So that was very good for Kleros.
Good. Maybe, Alex, you can actually tell people from the community. So since you joined recently, so what type of work you are doing? I mean, maybe also a bit about you, so they get to know you, and also the type of work you do, and how can people from the community actually can help you with your work at Kleros and integrations in DAOs.
Yes, definitely. So I joined recently, so 3 weeks ago I joined Kleros, but I'm a long time community member. I've been following Kleros almost since the second ICO. I've been a juror myself. So for Kleros, I'm a DAO lead. So I'm really focusing my main focus is to be on everything related to DAOs and governance in general. Kleros is a protocol that could be that has many different applications, and a lot of them could benefit DAOs and governance. So basically, we have tools like Proof of Humanity that could be useful for DAOs. We have tools like SUSI that could be useful for DAOs, doing content moderation that is sometimes difficult. We have a very interesting tools that I'm pushing close to some DAOs that's called the Kleros snapshot module. Basically, it's a tool that allows to decentralize your multisig, because a lot of DAOs are just relying on multisig, and multisig are not decentralized, basically. So your DAO is not a real DAO. If you want to become a real DAO, basically you can talk to us, and it will allow you to keep your governance process on snapshot. So you're not paying gas fees, but the execution could be fully trustless as a DAO. And that's a big benefit because it avoids you to do some basically costly mistakes, or to have like some team like multisig that bypass the governance. So that's a super interesting tool that we are pushing, and I'm in talk with some DAOs basically in order to integrate it. But with Kleros, you can do also plenty of things. So you can think about like a Supreme Court basically for your DAOs, using constitutions. And on this, I will definitely advise to have a look at Jimmy Ragos's talk. That is super interesting. So governance and DAOs, it's a space that is getting more and more mature, and where basically Kleros can be integrated at a lot of different levels. So yeah, if you are part of a DAO, part of a governance in any community, and you want to help decentralization, feel free to contact me.
Awesome. Thank you, Alex. Maybe you can also explain a bit more how the module works and how Kleros works with the module that you are working on. So for people who don't know much about how this works, maybe a bit of a longer explanation. When does Kleros interact and intervenes in this situation?
Yeah, okay. So the Zodiac module is an interesting module. So basically, how it works, it's a plugin that is already part of your safe. So basically, it's easy to set up. You don't need to reinvent the wheel, and that's one important thing you need to keep in mind. So you still keep your governance process on snapshot that you are using, but for your safe, you just install this module, and it allows you to basically make a link between your snapshot space and your safe. As soon as basically the proposal from your snapshot is passed, it creates a question basically in reality where you put a bond on it. It's basically the system of optimistic validation that is done in a lot of products with Kleros, like Suzy, for instance. And basically, if the proposal is not challenged, which is most of the time the case, the transaction is executed. That's why it's called optimistic. However, and that's the interesting part, and that's why Kleros is securing the system, is anybody can challenge it, basically, and call Kleros for arbitration. And that could be useful if there is somebody that is trying to attack the DAO, for instance, or if there is an error, as it could happen, in the transaction. So basically, we have Kleros as a game theory with incentives that is securing the process.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Alex. And this is a very important tool for DAOs that are actually decentralizing. So as you know, a lot of teams starts with more like a centralized way of managing, because in the early days it's typically simpler, and there is this process of progressive decentralization where you start a bit centralized and then you start decentralizing different parts of the governance into the community.
Exactly.
And so when this starts happening, what happens also is that you have new challenges because you are exposed to different types of attacks, like governance attacks. So this is a really cool service that Kleros can provide to make DAOs more secure, right?
Yes, definitely. And we have, it's good to mention that this module is used for a long time now by our key partner, 1inch, basically. They are securing 15 million of their treasury with this technology. So it's really relevant to them. And as you said, it's progressive decentralization. It can be customized to your need. So maybe you don't want to jump full decentralized from the start, but you can input some veto, for instance, right to the multi-sig owner. So you will have a certain level of decentralization. So yeah, definitely. Very interesting product, and feel free to contact me if you think about some DAOs that could be interested in.
There you go. So thank you, Alex. Let's go to Marcos with other news from business development.
How are you? Well, from the BD team, it has been a good week because we have a lot of disputes open. Tomorrow, I heard that it was the 10 with more open disputes for the moment in Kleros history, so that would be great. I don't know if that's 100% true. Maybe Federico, you can answer me this, or Jean. But well,
we're checking this. Maybe Jim knows. I think it's kind of if it's not the higher amount of disputes, it's like not far from that.
Okay, sure. So besides that, last week we have some of the Kleros team was part of the Dev Connect. and we were talking with different partners or future partners. One of them was Chainside, who are interested in using Kleros Oracle. And then we have another possible integrations with projects as Rain and Etched. And then about the Lemon integration, we have been working all this week we're trying to automate the process to be able to receive even more cases. So to anyone who has PNK or is interested in buying PNK, it might be a good moment, as in the future weeks or months, we are going to be receiving even more cases in our courts.
It's always a good moment to buy, but yeah, so this is moving forward quite nicely, and it's still some things to polish on the edges, but it's, super exciting because it's like a mainstream economy use case where, the amount of cases that could potentially come to Kleros is quite big, and this is a really cool use case in consumer disputes. So this is something that could eventually scale to other verticals in consumer claims and could bring lots of usage to Kleros. The main challenge in this type of integrations is that so this is the customer here is like an off-chain project or company, and so this means that there is a number of different processes to handle because the enforcement is not on-chain, but it's nothing that cannot be solved. So it's just about putting the right processes in place, and also having in mind that this is quite massive because this type of cases, we are speaking of hundreds of disputes. So we are excited about this. It still isn't 100% confirmed, but this is going moving forward nicely, and this is something really exciting because it has a real world impact, right? So we have been working a lot on that. Then from the point of view of business development, the Kleros Bootcamp is still going on. We are helping the teams make their projects, and we had already a bunch of workshops about strategy, mechanism design. I did one about fundraising this week, and so this is still going on quite nicely. We are doing the last interviews of the Kleros Fellowship, the 7th batch, with a number of new people that are going to come to do different types of research about Kleros. So I think this week we are finalizing the interviews, and so this is cool. We also are planning a bunch of really interesting talks. One of them with WIPO, the World Intellectual Property Organization, for December 14th. That day we're going to have it's a talk in a webinar in Spanish that we host together, and what we are trying to explore and to try to create a community on people who are interested in dispute resolution in the context of esports. So if you are a Spanish speaker, you want to come because you're interested in intellectual property, esports, and of course Kleros. So this feel free to join. That's going to be super interesting. And let's go to William now.
Sure. So and sort of research side, I've been continuing to think about slipbound tokens, which, I've said in previous calls, are these, identity sort of non-transferable entities that we're considering using potentially in the juror selection process. So which random jurors are drawn for Kleros. You might be weighted differently based on, what SPTs you hold. And I'm writing a blog article about this, which unfortunately isn't ready yet, but we're putting the finishing touches on, getting nice images and getting people to proofread. So soon you'll be able to sort of see all of my thinking about this and the kind of research we've been doing for the past couple of months. A lot of my ideas have been inspired by research people have done on using SPT weighting in quadratic funding. where the idea there is that like if you have rare SPTs or sort of like you represent sort of a different voice that's not well represented by the rest of the community, as evidenced by the expertise you have or the background you have that indicated by SPTs, maybe you should be weighted more, or at least sort of differently in your quadratic funding contribution. Like I adapt a lot of their ideas, and it's really quite interesting how close the parallels are in the math between the sort of approach they take and the kinds of way you can think about weighting juror staking with SPTs. And I'm actually kind of curious if there are any other applications like that one could SPTify in the same way. So if anybody else has thoughts after, even now after they read my article about like other ways this can be applied, I'd be very interested. But I look forward to sharing this article with everybody soon.
Awesome. I still haven't read it, but so yeah, I'm looking forward to reading that. So that's super cool. And yeah, and all of these SVT type of applications, it's going to be, extremely useful to push forward. Lots of use cases that are not very easy to do with the current version of Kleros, but when SVTs are live, and then we can choose jurors through some defined expertise or skills. So this is going to bring way more use cases that will be possible to put in motion. And so about this also, so the testnet is work is being done. We had a little interruption during Dev Connect because part of the dev team was not they were in the conference. Now we resume this, and we are deploying into I think it's a Sepolia testnet, right, Jean? What was the
yes, it's in the
yeah, so we're close to finishing all of the front end fixes, and we are also onboarding a number of new developers in the team because we have lots of different things at hand, and we need to. We're also working on, for example, the curate front ends. Lots of different development work, and I think we will probably soon make another call, maybe with JB, so he can show us what is the development that is going on in V2. So that's also something we are planning for, maybe, I don't know if next week, but at some point in the near future. We're getting closer. And I think that's it. Jim, do we have something else?
Yes, just we finished the hackathon that we organized with. Actually, we put a prize with Valerie, Olas, and Gnosis Chain. It was a hackathon of AI agents. Recommend reading a little bit about it because it also paints a picture of what could be the future of blockchain transactions. Lots of AI agents operating, and in this case, having Kleros intermediating if there is a dispute. The AI agents in this case, they were participating on prediction markets and were gathering information from the internet and then making their bets basically on them. So that's interesting. It will be released to the winners today. And as Marcos mentioned, we have lots of new cases on Gnosis Chain in the curation courts. That's of course because there are lots of new submissions, because we have the ongoing rewards program for submitting tags, domains, and tokens to the metadata security registries. And yeah, I'm working like part-time on my spare time on the Kleros GPT. I believe it will be helpful for making questions about Kleros. And I think that's it for me.
Awesome. Well, I guess that's it for today. And well, I say thank you for coming, and see you next week. Okay. Bye bye.
Everyone.
Everybody.